Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts. This is my non-spoiler review for Godzilla vs. Kong. Holy crap! This film delivers. This film freaking delivers on so many levels. A lot of things to talk about, but, like I said, no spoilers, so don't worry. I tweeted this out after finishing the film, and I sat here for a little bit before I recorded this review to think more on it before I really dove into my review of it, but I tweeted this out saying this. This film, to me, has the best action we've ever seen in a MonsterVerse film. To me, there's no debate, no question. This film has the best fights we've ever seen in the MonsterVerse. I mean, holy crap. Now, we've seen bits and little things here or there of the fight between Godzilla vs. Kong, but man, they make you wait. Now, obviously, I haven't seen all the trailers they've put out for this film leading up to it, but there's a lot of really good stuff in here that I hadn't seen. And I only saw a couple trailers, but my God, I was so hyped. I was so excited. And this film does answer the question, you know, who wins, because there's been a lot of debate about, are they going to make it to where it's kind of a tie? Are they going to make it clear who a winner could be between the two? To me, they make a decision, and I'm not going to say what it is if you haven't seen the film, but I feel like they make it pretty obvious who the victor is in terms of this film. There is another big thing in this movie that they have revealed eventually. They just jump right out in front of it. So I'm going to say this one quick thing that technically should not have been revealed because it's a big thing in the film. I'm going to say it real quick, then we're going to bypass it and move on. Godzilla. He's in the movie, okay? I think it's pretty obvious. That whole action scene was great as well. But, yeah, so that. But, anyways, back to just talking about the film in general, with non-spoilers. I like the look of it. I like the fact that we see a lot more of Godzilla and Kong in this film than I thought we would. Just because it costs a lot of money for the CG effects, but they somehow had it to where we saw a lot more than normal of Kong and Godzilla. And what has also been very praised highly leading up to this release, and now me actually seeing it, they actually have a lot more fights in the day. They got more stuff going on during the day. Now there are some nighttime stuff, but what is interesting is that all the fights just don't take place in the dark. Now, obviously, in Kong Skull Island, we had a lot of stuff in the daytime there, but it was good to see that there was a lot of action and stuff going on that was taking place in the daytime. So it's like, you know, a little more work on the CG to make it look realistic in the daytime, but it really paid off because holy crap, this looked really good. Like there wasn't a point where I'm watching like, but visually, this film is very stunning. There's a big moment that happens in the film that has been talked about in previous films, and they finally get to it, and they finally, you know, move that plot point forward, and that was visually interesting, very interesting. I'm like, well, okay, this is different, but I like it a lot because it just shows that there's a lot more to Earth within, you know, the MonsterVerse than we know of, you know, besides the fact that there's giant titans, giant kaijus, freaking Godzilla, King Kong, and all the other freaking titans running around. It's crazy stuff. I like the little tie-ins they have from the previous films, obviously with certain characters and certain things, and that's very good in terms of keeping the continuity of the MonsterVerse. Now, without getting into specific, could this MonsterVerse continue after this film? Oh yes, very much so. They could continue with another King Kong film, another Godzilla film, clear as day. I mean, I don't think there was any debate or, you know, theory of, is Godzilla going to die in this movie? Is King Kong going to die in this movie? I mean, if you were ever thinking that, I seriously, because if this film is successful, which in terms of overseas box office and what they're thinking of box office for right now, yeah, I think they might be continuing the MonsterVerse some sort of capacity. So, really well done. The one thing, of course, that kind of holds this film in the films in general in the MonsterVerse back is the human characters and the stories. Now, I will say, I thought some of the story in here was really interesting. There's a character, we've seen this little girl. We find out exactly her connection to Kong, and I think it really elevates the story. I think it really adds some depth to the story here because of her connection to Kong and who she is. And I think that's really interesting because if that wasn't there, I feel like it would just be, who cares? Okay, we see Kong, let's wait for the fight. I was actually invested a little bit in what's going on here, and a big reveal that happens a little bit around the middle-ish of the film, I would say. There's a big moment where you're like, okay, that's possible, and that kind of makes sense based off of Kong, and you'll understand if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. There's a big moment that I wasn't expecting, but it adds some layers. It does. Man, the fights. I just keep thinking about the fights. They were just so good because those are the things that stand out to me. The fights. And honestly, too, thinking more about it, and I said this after I finished watching the film, that I felt that this film feels like at times more like a King Kong film. And that's because we see a lot of Kong in this film. There's a lot of him. Now, there's quite a bit amount of Godzilla, and it is Godzilla versus Kong. Okay, you really sense that throughout the film. But we see a lot more of King Kong than I thought we would. That makes me go, this feels more like a Kong movie. You know? And that's completely fine, because I like the fact that instead of just having Godzilla and Kong only showing up to fight each other throughout the film, and the rest just spent on humans and stuff, we actually see more of a story that's kind of, you know, connecting to the past films, especially Kong Skull Island. So, I mean, it really worked for me. Could the human characters have been better? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Could the story have been a little bit more interesting? Yeah. But I will say, with all of the fight scenes and all the crazy stuff going on in this film, yeah, it is worth the ride. It is worth the ride. And ranking on the scale of Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and now Godzilla vs. Kong, honestly, to me, this is the best film, I think, in the MonsterVerse, in my opinion. I really liked Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, just because I liked the approach of kind of, you know, hiding Godzilla and kind of, you know, doing that direction of not just showing him right away and all this crazy stuff. Now, we see shots of him, of course, and he's in the film a bit, but you get my point, the way of, like, just not showing you everything. So I like that aspect of it. Kong Skull Island, of course, takes place in the 70s. Yeah, 70s. I think 73. Anyways, that's a very different approach of a film. A reintroduction to Skull Island and saying, of course, a younger Kong. I like that film overall. A lot of the human characters could have been removed entirely. Godzilla King of the Monsters definitely to me was really good in the aspect of the fights and seeing King Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra. It was really cool. What holds it back is some of the character stuff I just could not care less about. In this film, at least, even if these characters aren't the best, at least what they're doing for the most part, not all the time, is interesting to the point where I'm like, okay, this film succeeds. But what really amps this film up is the fights. The fights are non-stop, so good. So I can't complain about that. But overall, if you love the MonsterVerse and if you haven't seen the film yet, I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to enjoy this film. And you're going to have a kick-ass time. You may not like the character stuff as much as I did, or at least you might not find it as interesting. But to me, I felt it was adding actually to the story in terms of like, okay, let's get to the fights. We actually are, to me, I was a little invested in the actual story leading up to the fights, so that I wasn't just sitting here bored, like, oh, come on, let's go. I actually felt that it was a good way to kind of slow down, because those fights are really intense at times. I'm like, there's a lot going on. Holy crap, it's hard to keep up with at times, but it is so worth the watch. So, overall, Godzilla vs. Kong knocks it out of the park in my personal opinion. The fights are excellent. Can't get enough of it, and I hope we see a continuation of the MonsterVerse. I want to see what happens next, because the way this film ends and just kind of how, you know, it unfolds, I would like to see more. I want to see what else they can do in this universe and what else they can bring to the table. So please let this film succeed. What you guys think of Godzilla vs. Kong if you've seen the film? If you have, whatever thoughts you have, let me know in the comment section below. Positive or negative, doesn't matter. Just let me know your thoughts. Hey guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Blah, can't talk. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.